Hey guys, welcome back. I'm Spartacus, and today we are going to be talking about the most underrated Survivor players. Now, fair warning, these are players who made big mistakes, but I do think that even though they made big mistakes, they can still be great players, and we're gonna explore a lot of that in this. So let's start. So the first person I have is Brad Culpepper, and in Survivor Blood versus Water, he got voted out pre-merge, and obviously that's not a great thing, but he did come back for Game Changers, rightfully so, I think. But in Blood versus Water, he hit the ground running with making relationships. And sure, people didn't like him, but he was just playing the game, and people see him as a bully, but that's just because he is on top. And I mean, sure, he didn't treat Ty well. He's definitely a villain, but I do think that he is on top most of the time, and that's why he's seen as a quote unquote bully. And yes, his game does have some major flaws in it, but I do think that he stands a good chance to win if he has a third time to play. So the next person I have is Sierra Dawn Thomas from One World and from Game Changers. And I didn't think that she deserved to be on Game Changers, honestly. But in Game Changers, she was so good. She was obviously aligned with Brad Culpepper, but she was on top so much, like so socially capable and aware. Of course, until she got voted out by Sarah and gave her legacy advantage. Yes, that's a bad move, but I do think that she's still a great player. So number 8, I have Chris Underwood. I mean, did he deserve to win? I think so, because I think that if you get the votes to win, then you deserve to win. But did he deserve to come back in the game? The game threw that at him. It's the game, it's the rules. So yes, I do. I do think that he deserved to come back in the game. Now, I know a lot of people aren't happy about this. I don't like the Edge of Extinction or Redemption Island personally. Um, but I do think that when he came back from the Edge of Extinction, he hit the ground running. Like he made moves that people would never have expected him to make. So I do think that he is very underrated. So number 7, I have Tyson. Now Tyson is obviously a great winner, a great player, but I'm talking about heroes versus villains Tyson when he quote unquote voted himself out. And this is a very loose term that the producers like to use, voted himself out. I mean, no, he just got blindsided. He didn't vote for himself, he just got blindsided, that's all. And so I do think that, sure, this is a terrible move, but at the same time, it was Russell Hantz. Like, what are you going to do? He didn't know who Russell Hantz was, just like somebody else that I'm going to be talking about later in this video. But Russell played in Survivor Samoa the 19th season, and it was just one season later that Tyson and Russell played together in Survivor 20. Now, Survivor films back to back, which means that everybody in Survivor 20, except for Russell, had no clue how Russell played the game, which makes all of the bad moves relating to Russell so much more justifiable, and that's why I have Tyson here. So number 6, I have James. He got voted out. Well, he had 2 idols in his pocket. Now, obviously, this isn't great, but at the same time, it's smart of him to hang on to idols as long as he can. Now, was he good enough to read the social scenarios? No, but still, he is great at the game. He's great at making alliances. He's great at tribe challenges. He's great at individual challenges. But I mean, yes, he made a mistake, but still, he is a great player. The next one I have is Ben, and he had a very controversial win. And there's a lot of YouTubers out there like Peridium, like the Meridian Review, who think that the Survivor is 100% a social game. I disagree. Survivor is whatever Survivor throws at you. I mean, if you have to find idols and win challenges to get to the end, and you win, then you played an amazing game because you found idols and won challenges and did what you have to do to win. I think that if you do what you have to do to win, then you deserve the $1 million. So that's why I have Ben at number 5. So number 4, I have Monica Culpepper, and she was kind of the GOAT of her second season in Blood vs. Water. But I think she is a great player. She is great at the social game. She can manipulate you to do what you want by just being nice to you, you know? Now, she had a terrible Final Tribal Council performance, and she was never going to win against Tyson or Jervis, but I still think she played an amazing game. Now, at number 3, I have Eric Reichenbach. Um, I mean, obviously, people know Eric Reichenbach as the most stupid person to play the game. He gave up immunity to Natalie, the first person to ever do it. Then he was voted out. But, I mean, he's not that stupid at the game. He made one mistake. Sure, it was a huge mistake. But it was one mistake. You know, and I think that, yes, it was a stupid move. But Eric is so good at the game. Like, I don't think that Cochran would have played a perfect game if he had taken Eric to the end, because I do think that Eric would have gotten some jury votes in Survivor Caramoan. Now, he is great at the game. Obviously, in Caramoan, he had some flaws where he was thinking about quitting, you know, but I do think that he overall, obviously good at challenges. He's good at social maneuvering, making alliances, so he lands here at number 3. The next one I have is Troyzan from Survivor Game Changers and Survivor One World, and I think that Troyzan did deserve to be on the Game Changers cast. Now, obviously, this is a very controversial one, but if you think about it, it was because of Troyzan that the Girls Alliance in Survivor One World had to close in on each other, had to vote each other out, because he kept winning challenges, because he kept finding idols and maneuvering to be in the social spot of the game. Now, he was the GOAT of the season in Survivor Game Changers, and I don't think that people understood how much he really did. I mean, finding idols is a huge part of the game, and I mean, he did maneuver an alliance between Brad, Sierra, and Sarah, and so I do think that he is a great player. At number 1, I have JT as the single most underrated Survivor player, and it's because I think people forget how good of a player he is. I mean, he played the first perfect game. He received 0 votes throughout the entire season, and then he got 100% of the final jury votes. And so he is such a great player. And then, obviously, he made a huge mistake in Survivor Heroes vs. Villains by giving Russell Hanson Idol. Now, here's the thing. Like I said with Tyson earlier, they didn't know who Russell was. So they didn't know that he likes to manipulate the woman in the tribe. He thought that the woman had all-female alliance. And in his defense, there was Parvati who won from an all-women's alliance before. And so I think that was most of his reasoning. And so I don't think that JT is that bad a player. Now, obviously, he forgot to bring his idol in Survivor Game Changers. He just left it at camp, and that was a terrible move. But I do think that he is, overall, one of the best players to ever play the game of Survivor. So there is my top 10 list of the most underrated Survivor players. Thanks for watching. See you later.